Hello dear learners. I welcome you all to this module on propagation and nursery techniques, which is part of the MOOC on capacity building of tea growers. In the previous module, we have discussed soil and climatic requirements for the cultivation of tea. As we all know, two types of planting materials are used for commercial planting. These are clones and clonal seeds. Seeds now used in commercial planting are basically the biconal seed stalks, which are the F1 hybrid seeds produced by crossing two clones under natural conditions. The clones are propagated by vegetative methods, primarily by cutting. So, the main objectives of this module are to explain the different methods of propagation, to describe the techniques of seed propagation and vegetative propagation, and to discuss how to select a site for establishing tea nursery. Let us first learn about seed propagation. For this, we shall try to discuss the experience from a Northeast Indian state like Assam. Propagation by seed was the only method of multiplication of tea plants before 1950s in case of Assam tea. The vegetative propagation of tea became popular after the release of the first batch of tea clones by Toklai Experimental Station of Assam in 1949 and standardization of vegetative propagation technique in tea. Seeds used for commercial planting are biconal seeds produced by different tea estates in their own seed berries and also by some commercial tea seed producers. Tea seeds of different biconal seed stalks look alike. Different seed berries produce different stalks. Stalks selected for propagation should be booked during July-August with approved seed producers so that seeds can be procured during November, December and January. Seeds are then packed either in wooden boxes or bags filled with charcoal powder containing 20 kg seeds in each box or bag, which is called 1 unit. Seeds are tested just after arrival. The size of seeds should not be less than 8 mm in diameter. Tea seeds lose their viability very soon. Hence, they should be sown in the nursery immediately after the receipt of the seeds. Now we shall consider vegetative propagation. The most popular and easy method of vegetative propagation in tea is by cutting, which consists of a single leaf with a piece of internode of the current year's growth. Propagation by single leaf internodal cuttings is widely accepted throughout the tea growing regions of the world with local modifications. Tea plant propagated through cutting retains all the characteristics of the plant from where the cuttings are taken. The plant is referred to as mother plant or bush. For vegetative propagation, the mother bushes of different clones are maintained in nucleus plots. The nucleus plots are not shaded by growing any shade trees like normal plantation. Mother bushes are frequently monitored so that pests and diseases cannot attack them. Cuttings are taken from the mother bushes, which are in the age group of 3 to 15 years. The mother bushes in the nucleus plot are pruned and skipped twice a year so that cuttings can be taken in 2 seasons of the year. Cuttings can be taken from the mother bushes in April and May when bushes are light pruned in November. After taking cuttings in April and May, bushes are deep skipped in May-June and the cuttings from these bushes can be taken in September, October, like that. Now, how is the growth periodicity in tea? In tea, the freely growing shoots grow through alternate phases of growth and dormancy. As the apical bud grows, it unfolds first 2 scale leaves called janam, followed by a fish leaf or goal path, then 4 or 5 other normal leaves. After that, the apical bud enters into a resting period or dormancy and the bud becomes small. The bud is called a bungee bud, and the shoot is called bungee shoot. After some time, the bungee bud swells up and start growing, unfolding first two janams, then one fish leaf, and then the normal leaves, and again the bud becomes bungee. This is called the phasic growth in tea. The amount of growth produced by a growing apical bud between two phases of bungee stage is called a flush. The janam usually falls off just after unfolding, leaving a scar mark on the shoot. The fish leaf is partly serrated and lack an apex and photosynthetically very efficient. The position of janams and fish leaf on the shoot is of great importance in considering different plucking systems. However, the following points may be taken into account. For vegetative propagation of tea, the most suitable type of cutting is the internode cutting, consisting of a leaf containing about 2.5 cm of stem below it and about 0.5 cm of stem above it. Leaves which are very young and tender do not make good cuttings, and only those leaves which have become hard are taken for making cuttings. The soft top portion with one or two leaves which bends easily and the very hard and woody bottom portion of the stem are not suitable and discarded. The flexible middle portion yields the good cuttings. The cuttings are prepared by giving a top cut immediately above the auxiliary bud, parallel to the leaf blade. The basal cuts should be given obliquely, more or less parallel to the leaf blade, with about 2.5 centimeters below the node. There are two seasons of taking cuttings for successful vegetative propagation of tea in Assam. That is, spring season from April to June and autumn season from September to mid-November. The best time for taking cuttings is early morning. Prepared cuttings should be kept in a bucket of water or wrapped in wet Hessian cloth to prevent desiccation. The cuts should be sharp, direct sunlight should be avoided, spraying of water may be done on the bushes in the previous evening. During the hot and dry period, the spraying of water may be given about half an hour before taking the cutting so that the leaves remain terse. Now let us quickly look at how to maintain the tea nursery. Well-drained highland area with a perennial water source for irrigation should be selected for setting up a tea nursery. The selected site should preferably be in an open space away from tall trees or jungle, which is accessible from the main road and near the farmhouse. In hilly areas, setting up of tea nurseries on the southern and southwestern slopes should be avoided. The nursery area should be divided into two major parts, with a motorable road for loading and unloading. Further, subdivisions may be made according to the size of the nursery. One small subdivision should not have more than 10 beds. See that all the beds are easily connected by a footpath. A water source or reservoir and pumps should preferably be at the center of the nursery. A shade is essential for performing nursery work or for storing materials. The germination pit for seeds may be dug in one corner of the nursery. Drains should be dug according to the slope of the site. Fence the boundary of the nursery and provide a gate for entry. Now, what are the nursery techniques for vegetative propagation? Tea cuttings can be propagated directly in sleeves under overhead nursery with proper adjustment of shade. The best soil type for tea nursery is sandy loam soil. It should not be very sandy nor very heavy. It should rather be virgin soil as far as possible. The soil should not be very rich in organic matter. The soil should be acidic, having the pH of 4.5 to 5.5. However, vegetative propagation nursery may be established in any site, and the type of soil does not come into consideration because nowadays cuttings are normally planted directly into the sleeves. Nursery beds should be of 1.2 meter width and of any convenient length. The beds should be laid out in east-west direction. Each bed should be separated by 30 cm wide and 30 cm deep drains which are connected to the collector drains in the nursery. In the hilly areas, beds are to be constructed along the contours. Preparation of beds should be completed before the monsoon season. The polythene slips of 12.5 cm flat wide and 20 cm long are suitable for planting cuttings. For the plants to be raised for only 1 year, 150 gauze recycled polythene slips are sufficient. For filling up the slip mixture consisting of 3 parts of the top virgin soil and 1 part of well-decomposed sift cattle manure is used. To 1 cubic meter of the mixture, 500 grams of single superphosphate manure is added with this mixture. Filled up slips are placed on nursery beds at least 2 months before planting of cuttings so that the soil mixture is well settled inside the sleeve. The cuttings should be planted in a slightly slanting manner so that the leaf does not touch the soil of the sleeve. The internode part under the soil should be warm. Watering should be done regularly or as and when necessary on the planted cuttings. However, excessive watering may also lead to overcalassing in cuttings which hinders rooting. Shade is essential for raising vegetatively propagated tea plants in the nursery. The overhead shade is a roof-like structure provided above the beds at a height of about 160 cm to 220 cm. The most suitable type of overhead shade is the north high type shade where the roof is kept higher on the northern side with a slope towards south. Sheets of agro shade net can be used for construction of the shades. A shade of these agro shade nets can cover as many as 20 beds of size 1.2 into 30 meters. Overhead shade may be constructed with locally available materials like bamboo, icora, and thatch as roofing materials. On the east, west, and southern sides, side screens should be erected with any of the above materials to prevent direct sunlight. Maintenance of proper shade in a nursery is very important. The north high type shade allowing 40 to 50% light should not be disturbed until about 10 weeks before the removal of the plants to the field for planting. The shade should be gradually thinned out with the removal of side screens so as to harden the plants for field planting. All weeds in the sleeves should be removed by hand regularly. Topping up of the sleeves with clean soil may be done if necessary. Now, what are the nursery techniques for seed propagation? It is easier to propagate tea from seeds. Seeds can be directly sown in the beds or raised in polythene slips. When planting materials are raised in slips, transportation becomes easier. When seeds are to be sown directly on beds, plowing of the soil up to 45 cm is necessary. Care should be taken so that the land is leveled properly following plowing. The beds should be of 1.2 meter width and of any convenient length. The soil of the nursery beds should be mixed up with 50 grams of SSP per running meter of bed length. There should be a narrow bed of 30 meter width between two broader beds for showing the green manuring crop. Two drains of dimension 45 cm in depth and 30 cm in width are to be laid out on both sides of the bed. So a slip mixture consisting of 3 parts of virgin topsoil and 1 part of well-decomposed cattle manure plus 50 grams of SSP per cubic meter of the mixture is used for filling up the slips. For seed propagation, the dimension of the slips should be 12.5 cm laid flat wide and 20 cm long. Filled up slips are placed on the beds. A pit of size 2 into 2 meter in length and breadth and 1 meter depth should be dug. A layer of 5 to 7 cm sand is placed at the bottom of the pit. Sand is moistened by sprinkling water. Tea seeds are then placed inside the sand layers and covered with banana leaves. The pit is protected from rain or direct sunlight by a thatched roof at the top. Seeds start cracking within a week. The cracked seeds are then collected for sowing directly in beds or in slips. Mulching with thatch or other green or dry materials is necessary just after sowing the seeds. Regular watering should be done. The frequency of watering should be reduced as the plants grow up. The mulch material should be removed immediately after germination of seeds. An overhead shade helps in protecting the young seedlings when raised in slips. The structure of the nursery may be similar to that used for vegetative propagation. Therefore, managing the nursery in tea plantation is very important. Regular inspection of nursery is a must. Attack of any pest or disease should immediately be taken care of by spraying recommended chemicals or by adopting recommended cultural practices. The nursery beds and the slips should be watered regularly so as to soak bed soil up to a depth of 10 cm. In any case, excess watering should be avoided. Any depression at the base of the plant in slips should be topped up with clean soil. So, we come to the end of this module. In this module, we have basically learnt about the propagation and nursery techniques of tea plantation. Commercial tea plantation are exclusively done by biconal seeds and clones. Propagation by cutting is the most common method. Single leaf internode cutting are prepared in the morning or late evening as they should not be exposed to direct sunlight. Before taking the cuttings, the mother bushes may be sprayed with water to keep the leaves turgid at the time of preparing for cutting. We have also learned about nursery management for tea. The nursery site should preferably be an open space away from tall trees or jungle, which is accessible from the main road and near the farmhouse. Water source and pumps should preferably be at the center of the nursery. A shade is also essential for performing nursery work for storing materials. So bye for now. In the next module, we shall learn about land preparation and planting. See you again in the next module.